And we are back, the Future Agent Podcast. Today we're not going as structured, mostly because you're still recovering from your leg lengthening surgery. Stand up and show the people really quick.
Let's go! Look at this! Hey!
6'3", 230, lean, mean, fighting machine. It looks a lot better on paper.
You had to remind me about the
feeling?
230 because boy over here is what, 218?
228, 228.
Damn it.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited about this because we have made a massive shift in our office. A small tweak, a small change, my friends, that is just the results that we've seen in agent confidence, in the way that they're communicating, in the way that they show up for training has been huge. So start there. What was the change? What prompted the change? And have you been surprised by the results?
Yeah, see, that was a layered question there. So where do you want me to start?
At the beginning.
So we've been doing this for about a year or so, and I think that when I first got into it, I had these preconceived notions of how things had to go.
Yes.
Of how role plays needed to sound, of how trainings needed to sound, and it was interesting because I felt like people were progressing through those role plays, but we weren't in this culture of working out. And I think that that's ultimately the theme that we have seen change the most, is that these are not role plays anymore, these are workouts.
So how were the role plays being done at the beginning?
If they were being done, I'll be the first to admit we got kind of lax on that. I think for me, one of the things that I'm still having to learn, I've only been doing this team lead thing for a year. A year and a month or two at this point. If you look, last March we closed 10 transactions. This year we're on pace to close somewhere between 40 and 50 transactions this month. And so through that growth, I think a lot of what I've had questions about is how do I push people?
Yeah.
Where can I push people? How far can I push people before they get too uncomfortable and just opt out? Because what I am learning is that our industry is not full of people that are willing to be uncomfortable.
No.
We are in an industry where people kind of get to a certain point and then they stop their progression, they stop their growth. And it's usually at 2 transactions, which if you're on our team, 2 transactions just won't cut it.
Yeah, it's like 2 transactions a month? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's a different level.
Yeah, and so I think part of this is just me starting to feel more comfortable with what my role is here in the office as a team lead, understanding, okay, I can push people a little bit more, I can push a little bit harder, I can make people feel a little bit more uncomfortable. So what does that look like? And originally, we do a lot of role-playing around Zillow. We do some role-playing around listings. We've done some role-playing around buyer consultations, some of the very basic nuance that exists. And so for me, I wanted to switch that from a role-play, which to me, a role-play is I'm going to listen to you do it. I'm going to listen to your 15-minute spiel on your listing presentation. And then I'm going to have an entire list of notes at the very end to give you. And then I'm going to trust that you're going to go and implement that yourself through practice, through repetition, through listening, through all of these things. And so for me, I wanted to tweak that. I wanted to change that because I wanted people to improve in real time and actually implement the things that we were talking about.
Yeah, and for me, I'm always going to push communication. Always. I'm obsessed with communication. I think one of the reasons for that, and I shared this with you yesterday, is because I grew up in a very contentious household. So my mom and dad are complete polar opposites in terms of communication. And me being the oldest of 4, I was always put in a position to referee these arguments, where my mom is loud, high energy, fiery curse words. My dad is the complete opposite. He is mellow, low energy, doesn't like to engage. So I saw from the time I was 6 years old, the consequence of not knowing what to say or of saying it incorrectly. So I think that has shaped a lot of my career. Once I got into real estate, most of what I do being done in Spanish, having to translate things like that, growing up all the time and my mom saying, hey, translate this, translate that. I've seen the impact of communication, and I've seen agents get crushed by not being able to communicate properly. So for me, that's where it starts, of understanding that agents are gonna have 4 to 6 core conversations all the time. And if we can't nail those conversations, if we don't understand how to ask clarifying questions, if we don't know when to push, when to stop, then it gets really hard to convert. I feel like a lot of agents leave a ton of money on the table, not transacting with people that would have transacted, but they were 1 or 2 questions away, 1 or 2 explanations away that they either didn't give, or they got ghosted and they quit, they didn't know what to say. And that leaves a ton of upside on the table. If we can train our agents to have the confidence to address those points, then they will be much better for it and the team will start to grow. And it's been really incredible to see a lot of our newer agents, how 1 to 2 sessions of these workouts do wonders for their confidence. just the progress that they can make in 24 to 48 hours when it's structured this way is massive.
Well, I think the progress is the first step of that, but the unintended consequence that comes after, I'm a big unintended consequence guy because you can't quantify it.
Yeah.
And the unintended consequences have been a growth in confidence. Watching these agents, when they leave these trainings, they are almost begging to get themselves into a position where the objection that we just role played comes up because they finally feel prepared to do it. I think that the overall theme, there's been two big themes that I think have come out of this, and that is the first one is don't practice on your money. And I think that's where so many agents are missing the mark right now. If you do the math, let's say you convert hypothetically at a 20% ratio from a lead to a closing. So if you're closing on average 2 transactions a year, that means 1 transaction every 6 months. If you convert 20% of those, that means that in theory you're having 5 real estate conversations with people every 6 months.
Right.
And so what that means is that you are not sharp. You are not in tune with what actually needs to be done. So I think that pushing those real estate conversations, and we've been breaking it up into seller objections and buyer objections. You built us this beautiful chat GPT that we are using that just says, hey, give me a buyer objection. Yeah. Give me a seller objection. Give me a commission objection. And it just spits it out. We role play it. We're pulling people up 2 at a time in front of everybody, in front of their peers, because I think that having a second person up there definitely helps, but I think also doing it in front of people, watching the amount of notes that are being taken. We've been training in here for a year, and we've had more notes taken in these role play sessions than we have anything else.
Yeah, it's so cool to see, but you have to have the right culture. And we're talking about that. We just got done with 2 of these. And the culture is, for anybody out there listening that says, hey, I want to implement this, agents have to feel like they're not going to be ridiculed. They have to feel like this isn't a judgment on their character. It's not a judgment on them. It's a skill set. It's literally shooting free throws. And once agents start to feel comfortable, they start to see the value, and you start to see hands shoot up.
We've seen that. We've seen a lot of people volunteering. We've had agents, the first couple of sessions that we did, we would have to provide the prompt, but now we're seeing agents bringing in their own prompt saying, hey, I had this pop up and I wasn't quite sure how to address it. Can we role play it? And it's been fascinating to watch what happens.
And that's also a huge value add for the team, because it's one thing to, okay, I can call the broker and he's going to give me the answer, versus the next time we go to work out, I'm going to put my objection in front of the entire class, and the entire class for 10 minutes is going to brainstorm on how I can solve that thing. The interesting thing about communication is you only need to learn it once. And here it goes to the point that I always talk about, skill stacking. You skill stack. You know how to talk to someone with low energy, high energy, someone that is going through a divorce, someone that's really excited, someone that's really motivated. You start to skill stack conversational abilities so that you can talk to anybody about anything at any time in any setting. That is where agents need to get if they want to be a future agent. A lot of us, we either don't know what to say or we're afraid to say it, and we lose opportunity.
Well, let's talk about the actual format of these trainings, because I'm curious your thoughts. Have you done it this way before? In a group setting?
Yes, but smaller.
Okay.
Smaller.
So explain to everybody the format that we're using and why you think it's been effective.
Yep. So the new variable is the GPT. I used to come up with these on my own, of whether it was objections that I thought would come up or that I had had in the past. The GPT makes it infinitely easier because you have all of the objections on different difficulty levels, but essentially you want to have, like you said, 2 agents, and then in our case, I am the buyer or the seller. You want to have the buyer or the seller be somebody that is proficient at this, because they have to be able to pick up, they have to be able to come up with different scenarios, they have to be able to keep it interesting, not neutral. So the person that is the buyer or the seller is absolutely key. It's usually going to be the team leader. You and I could swap places, you could do it, I could do it, but it has to be somebody that already has a communication skill. You bring the agents up, you give them the objection, and to your point, you don't just let them go on.
No.
You don't just let it go. If they make a mistake, you stop them, try that again.
How many times do you think we're stopping on an average role play?
20 to 30.
Yeah.
20 to 30 times. And
the things that we are stopping for, I sometimes feel like I need to apologize for, but I probably don't.
No, you don't.
Because I feel like in agents' minds, once again, if the culture is not there, if the culture is not there to support what you are doing, then I think people would feel like I am nitpicking, like I'm antagonizing, like I am ridiculing what they are doing. But we are going so granular with this, and I think that's why it's working ultimately. We are going, and the goal is to bring awareness to what the agents are doing that they might not have awareness to previously, because awareness is the first step to fixing something. And so if I hear somebody saying too many times, if I hear agents using softening language, stop. If I hear that the agent is dragging on, we all feel that when we should have stopped talking and we kept going because we feel like we need to justify, we feel like we need to explain, we feel like we need to provide more context when we don't.
And what you quickly realize is the deficiency in the skill set. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
When agents realize and they can shine a positive light on, hey, I'm not actually that good at this, bro. And they don't turn negative. It's very difficult to do that. It's so hard to do that, to where agents, because imagine, like, you go to the workout, you realize that you're not very good at this, and you leave excited. It's very hard to create that. And I think that we've done a good job at agents leaving understanding that. It's like, man, I sucked at that, bro. That was brutal, but I'm happy about it.
Yeah, and I think the other unintended consequence is a sense of camaraderie that is existing in these trainings. People feel like they're in the trenches together. Yeah. People feel like they are in a workout together. They feel like they are getting beaten up. They feel like they are, and I think what's interesting is that there's nobody that's sitting in there saying, I don't struggle with that, I don't need to pay attention.
Everybody.
I think the other thing that it's done too is it's enlightened us to the trainings that need to be done. We have agents that bring up a certain document. Hey, we can use this as part of our strategy. And you see 7 agents that have no idea what that document is that they're talking about. Boom. Okay, we need to do a pop-up training on a contingent to sell addendum. And so I think it has been highly effective for that. I think the second theme that keeps coming up, and I think any agent that's paying attention to this will understand what we're talking about. Agents use a lot of softening language when they should be. So I think the first theme, don't practice on your money. The second that I feel myself repeating time and time again, stand on business.
Stand on business.
Stand on business. Feel confident in what you are saying and delivering to your people. Feel like the strategy that you are presenting is a thorough, thought-provoking, insightful idea, because that's what it is. If you have been doing this as long and as well as we have been doing it, stand on business. Stop using softening language. Well, I just feel like we might be able to do. You see this softening language take place, and I think it's a lack of confidence. And I think if it's a lack of understanding, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and that comes from preparation, which is another reason why I think these office hours, or whatever office hours you can establish for yourself, is key. You have a listing presentation at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
You've been here since what, 9:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Now you've got a lot of stuff going on, but if you're an agent that is just sitting there and you know that you have a listing presentation at 5, you see Luke over there, what is he doing? He's prepping.
Yep. He's got a listing presentation at 5:30.
There you go.
Yep.
But if you don't have that time established, then you're going to go in maybe not so convinced, or maybe you're just going to do whatever, you're going to spit out whatever number the software gave you. Now, when you talk about culture, the other cultural piece to this, for it to be effective, and the reason why I think a lot of team leads don't do it, is because it can very quickly expose the leader. So as a team lead, number one, you should also participate. Yeah. You've done them, I've done them, many of our coaches have done them. So you have to be in a position to be exposed. But what that's going to generate is, number one, the other agents in the room get to learn from you. But if you have that anxiety, if you're afraid to be exposed, if you're afraid to not do a good job, if your ego is wrapped up in this, then it absolutely does not work. The leader or the leaders have to participate in the drill. And what often happens in training, it's just lecture. It's just me standing up there for 45 minutes, giving my diatribe of what I think people should do or what I think. But it's very different to get in the trenches with people. And I'm going to shoot free throws right after you. We're going to do this together. That is an underrated point that I think both of us are very comfortable doing, and we don't shy away from at all.
I feel very confident in the fact that I am not putting our agents through anything that I have not put myself through hundreds and thousands of times to get to the point where I'm at today. I have shown the agents multiple times the screenshots that you send me after we're done public speaking, after we're done with a podcast, after I'm done with something. I even did a listing presentation the other day, recorded it, sent it to you, and said, pick it apart.
Yeah.
And you came back with a lot of the same advice that I'm giving to our agents. Shorten this, fix this, clean this up. And so I think that is something that team leads, I think that's part of why it's very easy to have ChatGPT draw up your agenda for your training on listing presentations, and then just read off the points and throw in a little bit of nuance here and there where your skills used to be relevant.
That's it.
This is you putting yourself back into the trenches with the agents, and I think that most are uncomfortable doing that.
but the agents will respect you for it.
Yeah.
They will respect you for it. So if you're in a situation where you feel like maybe agents don't listen to you or there's not that respect there, they just need to see you in action, my guy. There's something to be said when they have that sense of security. Oh, he's a good player. He's a good player. But you have to let them see that. This is one of the only ways that I found that they can see that. They can hear you. They can take from you. They can record your audio, and then they can implement that themselves. Very rarely in this industry do we see the brokers and team leaders in action. It almost never happens.
The other point I think is important, it's a nuance point, but I think for team leads, it's super important for you to understand doing these types of role plays, doing these types of workouts. The goal is not to make your agent sound like you. The goal is not to make your agent sound like carbon copies of Boo or Tony from a communication standpoint. The goal is to give the framework. I think that's what makes Sharon so excellent at what he does. We want to provide the framework. We want you to understand the goal that you're trying to accomplish. Make the words your own, my guy.
And do you understand the concept?
Yes.
It's not, again, because you'll do that a lot. You'll give them ideas on what to say. And so sometimes it's okay, are they just repeating the words that you're giving them, or do they actually understand the concept? So team leads, as you're running this, because you're skilled at this, right, your agents are gonna get stuck. When they get stuck, give them some ideas, like throw them a lifeline and give them some framework as to how they can get themselves out of this hole. But try to gauge, are they just repeating what you're saying to get out of the chair, or do they actually understand why you're framing it that way, why you're taking them down this path? That is the skill set. That's the only thing that matters in this industry, especially moving forward. We're doing a test on ChatGPT CMAs. Insane.
Wild.
Insane. Try it. If you have the pro version. Deep research of CMA. It's a better CMA than anybody here can do. It's going to go through the entire internet, 150 different sources. Like, it is solid. The question is, can you deliver it? This business is now about delivery because the data is out there. Any seller can run the same CMA on their property. They can chat GPT, how do I buy a house? What do I need? The info's out there. Can you deliver? That's the skill set.
I think the last point that I want to make on this, and I think this, one of the unintended consequences is there's a lot of agents, especially when you're close, especially when you're working together and you see different agents popping up different numbers. Like we had Brian, our rookie of the year. This dude is on pace to do 30 to 40 transactions in year 2 of his time at the Perry Group, in real estate in general. Got him up in front of everybody, threw a tricky objection out there, and the dude crushed it. You could feel the energy in the room just kind of shifting. And I think what it does is it shows the agents in the room that there are levels to this.
There are levels to this.
There are levels to this. And you think that, hey, I'm doing everything that I see Brian do. I'm having the same script that he's using. I'm talking the same talk track that he's talking. And for whatever reason, the results are not the same. I think the other thing that it does is it shows the people in the room why Brian is going to sell 35 this year and you're going to sell 5.
Because it exposes everybody.
Yes.
You're playing one-on-one. Are you a good player or are you not a good player?
Is that a bad thing?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because that's the only way that you can gauge yourself. That's the only way that you can get better. Until you get on the bench press and you try to lift and we see what your max is and I write down your max and it is 80 pounds less than the next guy, you have nothing to improve upon.
But where I think the team leaders can step in is they can say, dude, your feet weren't planted on the ground, your grip wasn't wide enough, your back wasn't arched correctly. Like that's where I think the nuance from the team lead needs to come in.
And
yep.
I bench 315.
Yep.
So I got you.
Yeah.
Something needs to be said about having the skill set in the first place. So if you're a team leader and you don't feel like you have it, develop it. Develop it. Put yourself through these uncomfortable situations yourself so that then you can be empathetic towards your agents when you try to put them through it. And the last thing is, if there are agents that shy away from this, don't want to participate, feel like they're too cool for school, they don't need that, that's a huge red flag that this is somebody that is either not going to contribute to your culture or just feels like they already have all of the answers, especially when they feel that way or they act that way and they don't have massive numbers. If you're closing 100 deals a year, cool.
I don't need you at role play training.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's an agent that you are average or maybe slightly above average and you don't want to participate, that's a problem.
So if you are a team lead and you want to see how we've been doing these trainings, comment something down below and we will send you. We've been recording the last 4 or 5 of them. More than happy to send you a quick snippet of how we've been doing this. Like I said, the couple of themes that have come out. Number 1, agents don't practice on your money. Don't go into a listing appointment hoping that you're going to get it right this time. Practice, practice, practice so that it doesn't matter what objection that seller throws out at you. You got this, and you don't care what direction they want to take this choose your own adventure story, you got it. Number 2, agents stand on business. Stop with the softening language. I just think that if we were to maybe do, don't. Hit it on the head. The only way that you get that though is by not practicing on your money. Get uncomfortable, get better, understand that the people around you that are selling more than you are not doing it by accident. They're not doing it by happenstance. It's not a coincidence that they're selling more than you. They get the same leads as you. They have the same market conditions as you. They have the same resources from the team as you. That's it for today on the Future Agent Podcast. We'll hopefully see y'all next week.